Hello everyone and welcome to another edition of Kuramawian, and let's get straight to business. So this week I feel that I took steps towards the right direction. And what I mean by this is that for the last couple of months I've been very hesitant on using agents to code. Cursor is very popular, Windsurf. I'm a VS Code guy, so I'm going with Copilot. But I've been very hesitant on using any of these agents because I'm very scared that it's gonna hurt my studying. It's just gonna do things for me, and I'm in such a crucial point of my early career that I still need to learn how to do these things on my own. And I was hesitant, but the more meetups I go, this is becoming the standard. And I'm like, if I don't start using these AI tools, I'm gonna fall behind. And the new thing that is becoming popular is using agents to code. So last weekend, I've really made the decision. I really need to start learning about MCPs because one, I'm not an AI engineer because I've been so focused on creating applications using React and Spring Boot. And I'm like, since I don't know Python and I'm not into machine learning, at least let me learn tools that will get me close to that. And that is MCP and using agents. So ironically, like I said last week, I decided to go to a meetup focused on MCPs hosted by Apollo GraphQL. And it was such a great opportunity because as you can see here in the highlights, it was in Manhattan. And since it was focused on MCPs, all the talks were about that. So it was awesome to see the different talks and speakers showing their approach on how they do things. And something that they had in common was that, look, we are still figuring this technology out. So this is still very new and people are still working on what the standard is and how to get things done. So I was like, I need to start learning about MCPs. And that's where I'm at. So as you can see here on my VS Code, I'm not using Cursor, I'm not using Windsurf, I'm using VS Code and decided to give Copilot a shot. So I actually took the 30-day trial and it gives you a lot. It gives you more usage, more chat messages, more premium requests. And with Copilot Pro, you're able to use different models. And depending on the model, you have some limitations. So with the standard models, which is 4.1 and 4.0, I have a lot of requests that I can make during a monthly basis. However, if I use any of the premium models, then my rates go up a little bit higher depending on the one I use. And I can see it here as a premium request. And then they renew every month. Tutorial that I'm using is the Ultimate MCP Crash Course built from scratch by Web Dev Simplified. And look, I'm not getting paid for this, but if you are a TypeScript developer and you want to learn the basics on how to create a server and a client MCPs, this is the tutorial to use. I've learned so much thanks to this person and I've learned a lot. I just used my first API key from Gemini to make a prompt and these are things that I didn't know how to do. So this tutorial is less than 2 hours long. I truly recommend it because I've learned so much how to create tools. We're going to get into that. So I make a repository. So I'm taking notes. I'm explaining what is the purpose of this course, the resources that I'm using, because as you guys know, I don't gatekeep anything. So I'm showing the Model Context Protocol documentation, which is here, the tutorial, which is this one. And then this tutorial also comes with main repository. Here it is. Like, I don't gatekeep anything. I want everybody to win. And this is a great tool, resource I've used to get my foot in the door with MCPs. Let me show you a little bit what I've been working on, which is kind of cool. So one of the things that I've been learning is like the different primitives of MCPs, which are tools, resources, samplings, and prompts. And each of them have very specific intentions. And it's just kind of cool that, for instance, if I want to create a user, I don't necessarily have to do it here. I can create a tool and it creates it for me. Let me show you. So create user. I created a function essentially that creates users. And I don't have to really type this myself. So create user. I let Copilot work. And then it gets me to continue. A new user with ID 13 has been created. And here it is. And one of the things that MCP does is you provide resources. And that could be your database or anything that has information. So it can have a more amplified context, which is the new thing. You want to provide context to your agents within your application, so when you ask a question, the agents know what it's talking about. So for instance, if I go here, I go add context, MCP resources, because resources again is where essentially like where you save the information, your resources that you are using for your application. So let's say get all users. So give me the name of ID number 4. So what it's going to do is it's going to go over the context, the information that I have here on this file. And it says the name of the user with ID 4 is Kyle. Let's see if it's true. Here it is. And something that I can do, I can be a little bit more specific. I don't have to look through all the details. I can do, let me go to the context again, the resources, user details. Okay, so it's asking me here for the user ID. Let's do 10. So here, what it's going to do is, what can you tell me about this user, which was 10. And it's like, this user has the following details. 10, let's see if it's true. 10 is Sue, the email is email, address is address, and the phone is phone. And I can go more into that, explaining everything, the prompts, the tools, and the resources, but it would require a much longer video. But I've been having a lot of fun. I learned as well about the inspector, and essentially what the inspector do is, if you create resources, you create prompts and tools, you can have access. This is literally like its own server in order for you to access this information. And you can, from here, you can create, I can create a user, for instance. Let's do this to prove it to you. Here it is. Let's go to users and let's go back to the site. So let's do VS Code So if I run the tool, here it is. It automatically does it. So there's certain things by providing resources and tools that helps you do things a lot faster, and you don't have to like to type, and it really does a lot of things for you. Of course, you have to build the things that you want to add. And I know that I keep saying a bunch of terminologies. This is why I recommend you to please take a look at this tutorial, because it's going to show you a lot of the concepts, and it's really going to teach you a lot of things. Again, it will require a longer video for me to show you everything that is going on here. But for example, one of the things that I'm working now is in the client side, because what we were doing just now is mostly server, but I was working on the client side. And what the client side does, let me clear this, is that let me run the command. I run the client side, and now I have the options to, what would you like to do? I can do a query, I can check the tools, I can check the resources. And remember, the resources are the users. So let's go to resources. Okay, and it shows me user and user details. And if you see here, user details and users. So it's saving the context, it's sharing the context between the server and the client. So let's say I want to show, get all users. It shows me literally all the users that we have here, which is the same here. You see that it says number 12 is VS Code. If we go here, here it is. And let's say resources again. User details, enter the value of the ID. Okay, so 11. So 11 is Steven, which is true, male, fake street, and so on and so forth. And let's do a tool, which is like a function that execute things in order to communicate with the resource. And let's create user. Enter the value of the name. Let's put Pokemon, male, random number. And here it is. It has been added, and I was able to do that from the command line interface. So this is a very cool thing to do. Let me see what else I can show you, because it's going a little bit long. Prompts is one of them. I can generate, it gives me the option to generate a fake user, and it's just essentially doing the same thing that I was doing earlier, but I can do it from the command line. And instead of, I can also create a graphical user interface, but I can do this through the command line thanks to this package, which is called Inquire Prompt. And then I'm able to access the prompts thanks to the AI SDK for Google. But man, this video can go a lot longer. But again, this is a great resource with TypeScript, and I've learned a lot in less than 2 hours. And yeah, I'm just learning the technologies that are on demand right now. So I'm learning about MCPs, and I'm going to see how I'm going to be able to implement this with the property management application that I'm working on with Spring Boot and React. But nevertheless, I know it was a long video. I hope you enjoyed it. But thank you so much for watching. See you in the next one. Peace.